to hide.
Hey everyone, are we online? Test 1, 2, 3. This is Matt with ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel. Guess what? Technical difficulties. Hopefully everyone can see and hear me now. My apologies for this madness here. I had a live stream scheduled, and for some reason it just started a new one when I hit that little submit thing. So I don't know. I couldn't get back into the old one, which sucks. Hopefully not too many people are missing out on this, but there's, I can fight technology as much as humanly possible. But technology is stronger than me. It's stronger than me. But hi everyone. Welcome to our pre-chat for the Eurovision Song Contest 2024 taking place in Malmo, semi-final 1. In less than an hour and a half, the 15 acts that are taking part in the first semi will take the stage for the first time. And so I am really excited. I'm sure everyone is really excited. And we're here to talk it through one last time. And I will be joined by Connor in just a few minutes. He's on his way home from work. So I was hoping he's going to be here in time, but that didn't work out. So I'll guide you through some of the stuff that's been going on. And it's very important that you provide me your thoughts and insight as well. And I will actually message Melanie right now because of this situation. So that you can let everyone know on social media. I'm letting you know that you resend. I resend it. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm asking her to reshare the information on social media. So anyways, the 15 countries, we're going for them one by one. I want to hear your thoughts and insight as well about this. In case you didn't pay attention, I posted the prediction video of Team United. Well, it was late my night, but early your morning, where 12 of the members working really hard on this. We have more than 12 people working on this, but 12 decided to vote, predicting the outcome. And I'll go for them one by one, and we'll also talk a little bit about other things. As a reminder, we will also have a live stream right after the show. So once all the qualifiers are known, hopefully that link will work, then we're going to discuss that as well. If for some reason I have technical glitches again there, I don't know what happened, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you'll always be notified when a new live stream is up. So, yep. Let's walk it through. Let me see. Also, then tomorrow, by the way, we will go back to what we did yesterday. There will be the first dress rehearsal of Semi 2, which seems so far away because we're just about to do Semi 1. The first dress rehearsal will give you a breakdown of what we see for the first time. It's very fast-paced, very hectic because so much is happening. And then we do the same thing again in the evening for the second dress rehearsal. It's the jury show, which the backup juries will vote in. And then we'll have the ability to share with you a lot of pictures and a lot more insight into what is happening. And then rinse and repeat for the grand final. So this is what we are going to do over the next few days. And as always, as you talk to me, as our wonderful mod Aussie Rose tells us, make sure you say at ESC United if you are talking to me. So that way I can see them. We're going to talk about first the countries in the running order, and when Connor joins, then we will talk about them again real quick and briefly. The first country, of course, on the list that we are having is Cyprus. Cyprus with Liar is a song that, according to Team United, is going to qualify. However, that was not a guaranteed one. As a matter of fact, if you watch the video, Cyprus is currently considered the borderline qualifier. 6 out of 12 members said, yes, it will qualify, and 6 said no. The same thing happened to Australia, actually. 6 said yes and 6 said no. So one of them would be our qualifier, the other one would be out. So I had to ask one of my team members who did not vote to break the tie. Melanie broke the tie and said Cyprus will succeed over Australia. Therefore, we have it in our predictions. I personally have Cyprus in there as well. And I love to hear from you all in the chat. Those that are supportive of the entry from Cyprus and believe it'll qualify, tell me at ESC United why you think Cyprus will or should qualify. I want to hear some of the supporters here of Cyprus as well. So as said, I actually think it's not, the thing is people get very upset and uptight about the dark staging, and it's maybe not as elaborate as some of the other stagings, and I agree with that. I wish it would be more brighter and energetic and youthful. The staging is not really like that. It's a little frantic. However, this song is still super catchy. It sets the tone at the beginning, and I think it's enough to catapult them into the finals. I try to, because my biggest concern is about this whole, there are too many songs from the first half qualifying from the televote, according to the predictions and betting odds. There will be some songs that will fall short. And I could see a universe where Cyprus could absolutely not make it. Trivina saying, I think it's borderline. That's exactly what we are predicting, and I had it also. It's far more progressive as a song than most of the rest, plus the girl is fresh and capable of singing. It certainly has, a little bit more youthful feel to it, and it certainly fills a void, for the lack of a better word, the youth vote, if you will. She comes across as very youthful. Sometimes you have like 17-year-olds and they always think like they're almost 30 because of the maturity level that they bring in and a certain confidence. Like even, how old was Destiny when she took place? Wasn't she 17 as well? She always had this like very experienced, confident attitude. We always thought she was older, right? So here there is the youth still there. And I think that is certainly a huge part of it. And I think Cyprus will qualify as it is quite a catchy song. I think that's a fair thing to say. I think it's fair to say that Cyprus is not necessarily the most innovative entry that we've ever seen at Eurovision. It's kind of like, kind of predictable. And that's not necessarily like an insult I'm trying to throw at it, but it is a little bit more like, okay, this is more comfortable what we know and what usually does fairly well. So that's what we always think about it. And it was doing so well actually in the pre-rehearsal betting odds, and it just dropped recently because the staging is not what we all envisioned. Maybe at the same time, it also is a bit harsh. So that is my thinking. And I agree, Cyprus is a borderline, probably the 10th qualifier, only because all the other are weaker, and I don't know what else to qualify over it. It's really funny because I had the same issue, and I'll talk about it in a minute, because my team, we were required to lock in our votes after the first dress rehearsal, before the second dress rehearsal, and I would have made a change already by now. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So yeah, that's where we fall right now. And if Cyprus qualifies, it could be in the number 2 slot. I don't know. It seems a little bit too upbeat and energetic to be in the second slot. And I don't think they're going to put Cyprus first and then second. I think there will be a little bit more of a compromise here. That would be my thinking. So I don't think it'll be second. Of course, I could be wrong. But based on prior patterns, I don't think that they would put Cyprus this early again. That would scream just absolute anti-favoritism. Do you know what I mean? So I think if Cyprus doesn't qualify, Australia will. Well, way to go, Liam, stealing my thunder here. I was going to talk about that. Ban him. No, I'm serious. So yes, I completely see where you're coming from and agree with that actually, but more on that in just a moment. Thank you, first of all, Alexandru, Eva. Ukraine gave me winner vibes. What do you think? I'm not there at winner just yet for multiple reasons, and I will jump into that in just a moment in a little bit more detail when we talk about Ukraine. But I can totally see where you are coming from. Yeah. Okay, so basically that's our thinking about Cyprus. Is said 6 out of 12 people on our team said it's going to go through. So it is a borderline qualifier. No one should be shocked if this were to happen. Talking about Serbia, 12 people voted. Again, that was yesterday afternoon or early evening before the second dress rehearsal. 10 people said yes. 2 people said no. That means we consider Serbia qualified, currently like 8th place for us. A little bit more of not quite as borderline as I anticipated. So there are 2 individuals who said no. It's a night of honesty. I am one of them. I'm so sorry, Serbia. Listen, if it were up to me and my personal favorites, Serbia would just fly through. There are too many things that concern me about Serbia. The running order is one of them. The strong first half doesn't help that song. And there are other emotional, heavy ballads that are coming after that I feel will stick more with people. And Teya's team knows that the staging and the camera work is not as tight as they want it to be. So it comes across as dark and not connecting with people. But I would love to hear from you, first of all. Again, those are supportive of Serbia. Why should or will Serbia qualify? Yell at me at ESC United. But I was overruled in the chat, in the group here, because 10 versus 2. But I love Serbia and I love the song. And it's just really a matter of objectivity. Oh, thank you. We still love you from Serbia. Thank you. You make me feel better. Sometimes people always come after you because it's like against your country, because I always it seems to be I'm always on the fence when it comes to Belgium. Are they going to qualify or not? Because they're always like just squeezing through between 8th and 10th place. And then people get upset. You never believe in us. I'm like, because you always squeeze through. I never know where you're going to end up. But yeah, so let me see what you say. You are very supportive of Serbia here and why you think this could happen. Serbia screams quality, but it's pure televoting today. Very valid point. I think Serbia would have had a better shot at qualifying with the juries, at least on paper. But then I always thought, was it 29 Serbia, Kruna? Beautiful song. And it didn't really do well with the jury. So I'm not always 100% sure. So that would be my, only caveat there. Serbia, Cyprus, and Poland will battle for the 10th spot probably. Yes, so I have actually one other country in there as well, but I have Serbia, Cyprus, and see, I actually have more countries. There are like 2 countries I have completely out of the running, and 2 or 3 countries that will battle it for the rest. Cyprus, Serbia, and Poland, actually. But I do think there are contenders still in the running, the likes of Australia, that could sneak in as well. But more on that in just a little bit. But yeah, so as of right now, I say no, but I was clearly overruled by Team United here. So we'll see if I'm right or they're right. Whoever is right, I'll be happy if Serbia makes it, because it's a beautiful song. So let's move on to the third country in the running order. Lithuania, Silvester belt, Luktelk. Why should or will Lithuania qualify? Yell at me in the chat at ESC United so I can see it. And shocker, out of the 12 people on the team, 12 said yes. So Lithuania is one of the 4 countries where everyone agreed this is a certain qualifier. And I'm happy to see that it's just Lithuania has, over the last few years, been so consistent in their entries, and they always end up like in between 3rd and 7th place in the semis, always comfortably qualifying and then ending somewhere in the middle or a little bit. I mean, Discotheque by the Roop a little higher. I think they were 8th place. But then, 22, 23, always left side of the scoreboard, board just outside the top 10 kind of thing. So I could get a similar feel here as well. But in terms of qualification, this will qualify. Trevina said definitely will qualify. Not a shocker here. Angela said Lithuania has been consistently good. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Exactly. I don't necessarily think that Lithuania is a guaranteed top 10 in the finals, but they're working on that. I think that's, another step forward. I think they're sending really good songs. I'm waiting for like the winner. You know what I mean? So we will see about that. Lithuania is a sure qualifier. It's polished, stylish, and fresh, and so catchy. Absolutely. There are always these songs every year when you watch the rehearsals. By the second rehearsal, you're like, they're ready. They don't need to rehearse anymore. And Lithuania falls into that bucket almost every year. And sure enough, this year they were also, at least from a viewer perspective, there may be people behind the scenes are like, this is messy. But to us, it looked very consistent all the time. So certainly it seems like there is, a lot of agreement, except one person said, I am not sure. Jordan is a little bit hesitant. So we shall see if that is you going to be right or not. It would be a big shock non-qualifier. Absolutely. I don't see that happening, though. So who else is next? Oh, Ireland. Ireland, Bambie, Thug, Doomsday, Blue. They have been trending quite a bit these past 24 hours on social media. In case you have not noticed, let me know why Ireland will qualify or why it should qualify. And at ESC United, and according to the team, 11 out of 12 people said yes, it'll qualify. So one person said Ireland is not going to make it. And unfortunately, that one person is me as well. And of course, I'm lying my ass off here. Of course, Ireland is going to qualify. I'm not calling out the person that didn't vote for it. But yeah, it's for me like such an obviously. I was one of the few people. I think I liked it before it was cool. The first time I heard it, I was like, this is fantastic. Now, people got very stuck on the national final performance, right? And I'm like, stop doing that. This particular, in Czechia and Ireland in particular, the stagings are so horrible and the sound do not ever take that as a measurement of success at Eurovision. Pat says, I think Ireland could win the whole thing. Yes. So let's talk about that in a couple of days, because I would have to see the semi 2 as well, the whole thing. But you would not see me cry over that. Oh man, that would be a very interesting outcome. Keep calm and crown the witch. You're hurt, not good, Chris. Who am I to argue with that? But now, in all seriousness, this was for me the moment I heard it, I'm like, this is a qualifier. Why are we even discussing this? And it went from like 12 or 13th in the betting odds to what in the qualification betting odds now to what, third or fourth, something like that. So quite a comeback, and rightfully so. Ireland is definitely going through, definitely one of the best stagings of the year, and it's just wonderful to hear that, especially we're talking Ireland. Remember tied golden pants last year, and then a few years ago we had a big hot air balloon thinking that's going to do the trick, and God knows what else they're trying to do. It's just wonderful. That's why you bring a true artist and individual. Bambie Thug, they know who they are as an artist and their craft. And when you know what your craft is, you know how to put something together and what you're good with, and you get the right team involved, of course. But this is just a masterclass. Johnny Logan is bringing his aura this year, so Ireland can finally win. #crown the witch. It was so funny seeing these two artists together, on stage, not on stage, like on the carpet, like two very different generations of Eurovision. Hopefully Johnny Logan, who's more of a traditional Eurovision music kind of person, has some appreciation and love for this very daring choice. Let's see. If Bambie misses the final, we will be the greatest crime. I think they will win the semi. I would not be shocked if they win the semi, and it would be a crime as well. But I said it before, I'll say it again. Do not let that discourage you. Number one, we all can agree Ireland is trying, and there's not that be a certain like discouragement for you, because half the rent is the excitement the interest that people show for your country's entry. And certainly people talk about this more than most other entries. Okay, so I think Connor's here. Connor, can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay, I
You
cannot.
got me mid-bite.
I don't know if you guys can hear this. I did not. Okay. Say something.
Hello.
Okay, I probably have to put on my headphones maybe. No, it's not plugged in even. So I will fix mine in just a second.
Okay. I'll keep eating.
So I'm going into settings for my sounds. Choose speakers. I should be hearing you.
Do you hear me now?
Okay, I'll put it in just a second. Let me go back here. So you can hear Connor. Is my volume up? Okay.
Listen, while Matt fixes
Let me
this,
see.
someone made a comment on the stream yesterday about how I am always eating on stream.
I can hear you now.
Wonderful. Matt always schedules these streams during meal times. And so yesterday was an 8:30 meal time. Today it is 12:56 p.m. It is lunchtime. And so I have my lunch. I am ready. So sorry, not sorry, but you will see me eating just a little bit. I'm hungry.
That's all right. I always ask him, like, what time do you eat, Connor? And then he tells me, and then I'm like, okay, that's when we'll go live.
That's exactly when we go live.
Roll. So, Connor, real quick, because I don't have that much time today for the pre-show. We just talked about the 3 first countries, just like 15 seconds each or something like that. Cyprus, you said it's going to qualify or not? Yes, I see. You said because it was 6 out of 12 said yes, and you were one of them. Why?
Yeah, so I think when I was going through it, I was bumping back and forth between I will expose myself, Luxembourg and Cyprus, and I ended up putting Cyprus in over Luxembourg, I believe, just because we voted at the first dress rehearsal. With Cyprus, I do think that it's a good, fun dance bop. I think that people will enjoy it. But my hesitation around it is a lot of what Gabe has been mentioning as well on stream is kind of the roboticness of this performance. She hasn't been able to figure out a way to really just do the choreography. I think that the choreography is doing her, if that makes sense. So I think that it's going to do well. I think that if
that's okay. Sorry, I got to move on to the next one. I hate to interrupt you, but we have only limited time today. That sounds like we got to go for them quicker. Sorry, I hate doing that. Serbia, you said yes, because I was one of the 10 out of 12 said yes. You were one of them. Why?
Oh, it's just an arresting ballad. I mean, it's beautifully delivered. I think, yes, there's some issues with camera work and things like that, but last night's performance was a little bit better than what we saw in the first dress rehearsal. So I think it'll be fine. Even though it is in second position, I think that this could be a quote death slot qualifier.
I was one of the 2 no votes, by the way, so we have different opinions there for one. I know, right? Lithuania, you said yes, pretty self-explanatory.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. It is a complete awesome dance bop. It's what I want from Croatia, but I'm not getting. And so for me, that is where the party starts. And so I think that everyone's going to remember it and everyone's going to vote for it.
Yeah. All right. And how about Ireland? Also, were you always like thinking, or just the staging has convinced you?
No, before we got to Eurovision, this was in my list of songs that I was like, I don't really know how I'm going to feel about this. And I think the staging has really elevated it to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, like I love this. I love a entry that emerges out of nowhere, and because of the artistic direction of the country and the artist, they create a spectacle that we're not going to be able to see potentially again. I don't think that there is another artist that is going to come into Eurovision and do what Bambie is doing on the stage. So that's why it's a qualifier for me. It's shocking. It's memorable. It's really artistic. It's really well done. It's really slick. And I think that for once, people who are in or fans of Ireland will be happy.
I think so too. Let's talk real quick about Ukraine. Everyone in the chat, let me know at ESC United why Ukraine should qualify or will qualify at ESC United. I will speak first. once again, it's one of the 4 songs where everyone on the team said yes, easy peasy. Once again, this is an obviously qualifier, visually stunning, melodically it certainly stays with you also a little bit. So it just, the overall package is just right, and it was a no-brainer to me. And obviously, there's not like any skill. Everybody believes that, I think. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, it's also another sleek package. It's probably not, I would say, the best package in the semifinal, but it is in there in the top 4 or 5, which I think it benefits slightly from being in the semifinal. I would be a little bit more worried potentially with semi 2, which I haven't seen yet. But I think semi 2 was a little bit more competitive. So being in semi 1 makes it stand out a lot more. This is my concern, is when we get to the grand final, then how does it stand out? Does it stand out at all, or does it kind of blend into the mix of things? But I think in the semifinal, actually, I think they're a potential top 3, top 4 in the result, because I think that the viewers are really going to like this package.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what the juries will do with this one. So televoters, I'm a little bit more optimistic. Ukraine gave me goosebumps already in their national final, and that was with a bad sound mixing. And I think a lot of people liked it from the get-go. So it does not surprise me. Ukraine, main candidate to win this semi along with Croatia. Is that where you fall as well at this point? If you had to pick a semi-winner, who would it be?
In terms of who I think will win the semifinal, I
Yeah.
do still think it's going to be Croatia, just because of the sheer popularity of it. In terms of who I would like to win the semifinal, just for the sheer satisfaction of bragging rights, I would like it to be Ireland. But I do think that it's between the 2 right now, Ireland and Croatia. And then again, I think Ukraine is probably going to be like in the 3rd slot in there somewhere, 3rd or 4th, maybe tying with, or not tying with, but trading around with Lithuania.
All right. The next country on the list we have here is Poland, Luna the Tower. Lots of talk about it. Ultimately, we've had, 8 out of 12 people believe that Poland is going to go through. 4 now are on the side of it's not going to happen. Both Connor and I still believe Poland will go through. Everyone in the chat, why do you think Poland will qualify or should qualify? At ESC United in the chat. Real quick, Connor, what are your thoughts? Why you think it's still going to qualify?
Well, I mean, I didn't think that it was going to qualify last year, and they went through
all right.
definitively a worse song. I think that the fate of this song is, we've talked a little bit about Cyprus being on the bubble, I believe with Australia, you mentioned with our predictions. I think that Poland is in danger of being 8, 9, 10, or if they miss out, 11, 12. And it really just depends on the televote's perception. I think that there's enough of a diaspora vote to help her, as well as it is visually interesting. It's just, I think from like a viewer standpoint, could be confused on like what the concept is, what's going on. I get it because I've watched the music video and I know that she's playing chess and, all of these things, and there's a tower, the rook. I get it. Casual viewer may disconnect. People may not want to vote for it, and they may choose other songs that are more interesting to them over Poland. So
yeah,
who knows?
I hate going after you because you always steal all my thunder and points, because I was going to say the same thing. One thing, and I know we don't like talking about, but we do live in the real world. Diaspora means something at Eurovision, and this is a very Poland-friendly semi. Germany's in there, Lithuania's in there, Ukraine is in there, UK is in there, Ireland is in there. So even if you only get like lower televote scores, like 6 points or something like that, add them up and then just some natural ones, I just feel like it's difficult for Poland not to qualify. It must have been really disliked the song for this not to happen, I think. And I agree with you. I had Poland, I was the only one on the team who had Poland as a qualifier. And I know that vocally, we can talk about this until the cows come home, right? It's not the best vocal performance. And visually, some people don't like it, but people didn't like last year's performance either. They didn't like the river staging either. And then they always make it in the televote. I think this will be visually memorable, no matter what you think. It just comes down to the singing is distracting a little bit. That's my only concern. I do agree that Poland has the potential being between 8th and 11th kind of thing. So there is a chance it will miss out. But I do think the odds are more in Poland's favor. That's why I also had it in. Poland will always make it in a televote only semi. I feel there were exceptions. In 21, right? The ride, what was it called? The one that didn't even make the televote, I don't think. but for the most part, they usually do.
Yeah, well, and in defense of Rafal, I mean, that was just a really bad performance. Visually, musically, vocally, it was all sorts of. So I think the diaspora kind of just left them high
They're
and
just
dry.
like, let's just not.
They were like, no, we get it.
There's even
We're
a
gonna give
line
you
for
this one.
them, you know, there's even a line there. The song is good, but Poland's staging is just not very good. There's so many directions they could have gone, but it's so cheap. I don't know if I would use the word cheap. It's just very, very busy.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot. If it were cheap, then it would be just, you know, them on stage. They brought a lot of props and ideas with them. It's just a matter of, is it visually too distracting or too much that people don't even take it seriously? And that's a valid point to be made, but I don't think that people overestimate people's turn. If they just see something funny, remember the girl on the red horse? You know, I like that song. You have that memorable moment. So it could happen.
She's gonna become the next epic sax man. Just
I know,
the
right?
woman on the
Ellen,
red
I'm from
horse.
inside the arena. You're inside the arena and you're watching us? Oh my God. I'm in the nosebleeds, but I'm so excited to be here. I'm so jealous. Rub it in. Have fun. Enjoy the show, okay? And good luck to your favorites. Oh man, I know it's always nerve-wracking. This is like the nerve-wracking period every single time. Have you noticed how much Poland has spent on online ads? Every single ESC video I watch has a Luna, the tower ad. That's usually Malta's and Azerbaijan's job. They're kind of curved back on that one now, as I can tell.
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't notice it, but I don't really get many ads to where I'm going.
That's why you pay for YouTube Premium, so you don't get any ads, so you can't tell them whether you like their song or not. That's just my ploy. You know, it's what, $10 a month or whatever. Skip all of those ads and never have to worry about it.
Okay.
But I do remember in 21 when I didn't pay, I was on the team that or the boat that had all the Destiny ads, and I was like, no, I get it. I know she's competing. I got it. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, moving on real quick to song number 7. It's Croatia, Rimtim Tagidim. And real quick in the chat, why will Croatia qualify or should qualify? As always, Connor is the only person on the team who said no, Croatia will qualify. Why did you say that, Connor? Why do you hate Croatia? Why do you hate Croatia? Why do you hate baby lasagna? What did it do to you?
Listen, I know that I just put in the group chat that I'm no longer relevant enough to be bullied, but I will not be bullied on the screen with lies and slander.
I'm kidding. Of course he said it's going to qualify.
No, like as I said earlier, this song benefits from being extremely popular, which I know that doesn't always translate from the popularity of the Eurovision fandom over to the overall populace. I was worried about this song in being like that when it was in the Croatian national final Dora, because it was a little rough around the edges. It was a little lackluster, but you could kind of see the potential. But then we get over here to Eurovision, and they have really figured out how to just, you know, grease those gears, really add those elements that were missing. And I think that this benefits the most from being in the middle of the running order. It is coming after a couple of really visual performances, specifically Poland and Ukraine here. And it is going to reset the energy in the arena, so to speak. And I think also reset the energy for the voters. It stands out in the voting recap. It stands out in your minds. You know the whoa part, like you can remember this. And I think people are going to show up to vote. So
yeah,
it was a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, same for me. I already gave my reasons in my video, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically what he said, contender to win the semi. I know the betting odds are really high, 35% or something like that. As I checked, it's keep going up. I will caution this a little bit only because we haven't seen the semi 2, some of the direct qualifiers, then we'll get maybe a better picture. Switzerland may come up. Italy may bump a little. We don't know. France could go up. So hold your horse on that one. Croatia will win the semi, I think. You want to say something? You were like shaking your... No? Okay. But I don't
I'm just enjoying my chicken.
Okay. But I don't think the betting odds will transfer into a walk into the park in the final. I think that is a fair statement, kind of what I was just kind of implying. Let's Dance. Thank you so much for your super chat. Meow for the win. Lovely to see you guys. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yes. That is always... Oh, I meant to say, because sometimes people also donate money through PayPal, as you can see the link, because that goes straight to us and not to a big portion to YouTube. And so I really appreciate all the support that we can get here. We got one donation from Anita, and she said, "Thank you for your hard work with the channel. I really enjoy and appreciate it." Well, thank you for your donation as well. So we'll keep doing what we're doing. All right. I mean, obviously, Croatia is a pretty obvious one here, so not much time to spend on. Let's move on to the next song, Iceland. On the list, tell me, anyone in the chat who thinks Iceland will qualify or should qualify at ESC United. And I'm not sure if you saw the video, Connor, but out of the team of 12, one person actually thinks Iceland will go through.
I will tell you, it wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me either. So, but one person still believes that Hera Björk has what it takes to pull it off. And if they're right, that would be quite an upset for them, but they can have some bragging rights. But you don't think it's going to happen, huh?
No, which it hurts me because like I love Hera so much. One, she's a Eurovision legend. She has been in this community for many, many years. She has given us one of the most iconic Icelandic songs of the 2010s. However, they are not able to replicate what, and I think I said this on the other stream. The last entry that she had, it was kind of a little clunky in Song Keppnin. They found a way to make it that club banger, to really give it that atmosphere and just light up the semifinal and the grand final. This time, I think that they just hoped that Hera would just magically make it happen again. And it's just not happening. But the family show was alive during her rehearsal this morning, or her performance this morning. So they're not dead on arrival. However, I don't think in this semifinal or even the second semifinal, she really stood a chance. She stood a chance if she was an auto qualifier for the grand final and Iceland had won last year.
Yeah. I wouldn't call her dead on arrival. I would call her dead on departure. That's kind of the thing. Like, it's going to be fun. You know what I mean? Is that terrible to say?
After she just flew here and conquered her fears of heights?
That's right.
Wow.
I would Iceland to qualify just for the sake of chaos. I mean, that's what they often do. Like, if for some reason Iceland is going to qualify, right, in the televote, she will be the first or second one to be announced. You know that they want to create that, oh my God, Iceland is through. Who will be out? They did that with Switzerland, basically, like in 22. You know, they do these, like, the surprising qualifiers early, like the Croatia Mama. Like, you know, like first one because people didn't think was going to qualify, some of them. And they're like, oh my God, somebody will miss out because Croatia goes through, you know, that kind of stuff. So if that were to happen, for sure. So next up on the list is Slovenia. And Connor, just real quick, before we move on, because we already basically passed the first half, up until you have every song from 1 to 7 as a qualifier. You don't think that the recency bias and the fact that these are all first half, they're all going to qualify in the televote? Were you not like concerned about that particular aspect of it?
I mean, yes and no. I don't know. The televote is really hard for us to talk about because we really only have 1 year to really kind of extrapolate from a little bit. And I know that there are other years where there was a televote only qualification, but there was a lot of other parameters and different structures and all that jazz. So there's really only 1 year we can use here. I do think it's possible that a majority of the qualifiers could come from one half or another. I don't think it's likely, but I wouldn't be shocked if we saw almost 5 come out of the first half. Part of that is the recency effect. People remember it. People are tuning in early. Hopefully by song 3 or 4, they are catching up on things and they know what's going on. But then also, I think the second half of the semifinal suffers from, and I'm putting this nicely, a little bit of a lackluster run. There are not as many songs that I think are going to really catch the eye for the casual viewer. And we'll get to a couple of them here in a second. Versus in the first half, I mean, it's just hit after hit after hit. So could it happen? Yes. Would I be shocked if there are more second half qualifiers? Most certainly.
Yeah. Faith Thomas got what I was saying. There's a difference. Dead on arrival vocals weren't there to begin with. Dead on departure, there ain't no way, even with choreography, it's getting out of the semifinal. That's exactly what I meant. You just put it way better than I ever could have. So let's move on to Slovenia. Those who think that Slovenia will qualify, speak up at ESC United, or it should qualify. I would love to hear like some thoughts about that. On our team, 5 out of 12 said yes. So it's not completely like out of the running. And Roy actually contacted me afterwards. He's like, "Can I change my vote?" I'm like, "You sure can't," because I can't either. I already did a video. So he actually also believes that Slovenia actually may have a shot. So we could have even considered, based on the Team United one, as a borderline qualifier / non-qualifier. But however, Connor, you said yes, actually, right?
Sure did.
Oh yeah, because I said no. You said yes. Why do you think Slovenia is going through?
So, I know that we keep saying like, oh, this isn't our personal predictions. These are what we think will actually happen. And Slovenia here is the other one that I've kind of been going back and forth on. I know that it's not exactly what we were, I guess, hoping for. We were hoping for a little bit more of a darker interpretation of the song, but I still do think that one, the vocal is there. She serves every single rehearsal that we've seen her has been flawless in the vocal realm. I do think that there is a really good staging concept there. It's just maybe missing one or two things, but I can forgive it. And I think the casual viewers will forgive it as well and be like, I remember that and I like it. But then also, I mean, part of me really wants this song to be in the final because it's going to be such a great foil to what I predict will qualify at a semi 2, which is a lot of the pop dance numbers. So I really want this. I mean, like, I personally, there's the professional side over here that's like, I think it's going to go, and I think it's got a lot. Personally, I want it in because I want it to be in there to kind of break up the monotony of the dance pop songs and the really upbeat things, because we need that little mixture of things that, like Serbia, for example, that kind of brings the mood to a very different area. And I think that Slovenia is going to be really great at doing that. Will people show up for her? I don't know, but I'm hoping that they will because I would love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with them. Like, I want to see Slovenia in the finals. It's more like I have to detach myself, and that's why when I watched it, there's 3 reasons why I decided not for Slovenia. Number one, when I watched the whole run through, it just doesn't stand out and grab me like, okay, that's the one I would vote for as a normie. You know what I mean? So that was one of the things. And then I just looked at the other things, like the audience polls that they've had, the press polls. Slovenia is scoring just always below the top 10. It just seems like people don't hold on to it as much as I was hoping for. But somebody just posted, could you see a world where Slovenia is in? Well, you said Slovenia and Serbia will be in, right? And I have them both out, ironically. Do you think
on my list? Yes.
Yeah. Could you could they compete for the same sort of vote potentially? Well, not just because they're from the same. I mean, geographically, you can make a case as well, but I'm more talking about even like the style or.
I mean, I don't necessarily think so, because Teya's song is much more of that traditional Balkan ballad. Well, no, I shouldn't say traditional Balkan, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
What the Balkans do well is a really atmospheric, deep, emotional ballad, where Slovenia's is a slower song by category and by tempo, but it's way more in your face. And so I don't necessarily think that they're competing for the same vote. I think that they are, however, up against the same parameters, which is, can we stand out against these high tempo energy songs? So I don't think that they're coming out with the same, the same countries, or like, oh, I'm going to vote for Slovenia over Serbia. I would actually counter and say that I think, from what I've been seeing, a lot of the people who are voting for Serbia are also throwing votes at Slovenia, because they're in the same taste wheelhouse, but they're applied in different ways. So I'm seeing more of a split rather than a competition per se.
Yeah.
But that's 6 people. So like, let's not extrapolate that too far.
But we love to do that kind of stuff. All right, let's move on to Finland. So everyone in the chat, tell me at ESC United why it will qualify, or why it should qualify. So 11 out of 12 people at Team United said, yes, it'll go through. And Connor and I both said yes. For me, real quick, it's just an obvious choice as well. You can think what you can think about the song, but even the audience poll yesterday, it was 3rd, I think. It's just a crowd pleaser. It's fun. People do not overthink when they watch Eurovision. They just think that, oh, remember that, it's so fun. And especially in the second half, surrounded by all, you pointed out, the way it flows the show. it just stands out. Even if it's like a sore thumb, it stands out. So I just don't see any universe where this won't qualify. Real quick, Connor, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a song that I personally don't connect with. So again, putting the professional versus personal hat on, personally, I would not have this in my qualifiers. I would not have voted for this if, we were doing a full like 1 through 10. But as a professional, I understand that there's a lot of allure here. There is a lot of comedy. I do think that people will find it interesting. My concern, however, is I do not think that Finland is going to be as high as Finland thinks it is. I think that if they qualify, it's 6 through 8, maybe pushing 9. So they're not going to qualify comfortably. Whereas I think that as we came into Eurovision, Finland was like, we're going to win the semi. Like, this is going to be it. And it's just not giving that vibe. I will say one of the things that I think takes me out of it just a little bit is that it's not necessarily connecting at all the points. And so every time we have a run, there is something that goes wrong in the performance that's not 100% lined up, or a person's in the wrong spot, or this or that. And so for me, it takes me out of the comedy. Like if it was all working the way it was supposed to, I'd be like, okay, this is like one of the weird zany, like Dustin the Turkey. Well, maybe not that far, but like when you go back and you look at this, you're like, go watch this. This is hysterical. And I don't always get that from every performance. So if they knock it out of the park and lock it in tonight, I may change my tune, but it's still borderline for me personally.
Okay. Well, and I put up a few comments as you were talking, and I think the consensus are, for the most part, it is the fun entry. Certainly in the second half, you can even make a case for the entire show. Croatia comes to mind, of course, as well. And but that's why, it will go through. So I think that sums it up. Well, I just want to get through some of the other ones. This one probably won't take much time. 11th song on the list is Moldova, and it's the only song that Team United completely agrees will not qualify. So 12 out of 12 said no. And if there's anyone in the chat that thinks Moldova will qualify, or it should qualify, at ESC United, I would love to hear some positivity about this as well. Connor, just real quick, summarizing your thoughts, why Moldova will not qualify.
Gosh, I mean, here's the thing with Natalia. She is a professional. She, again, very similar to a couple of other comments, has been vocally on every single performance. However, I think what is wrong with this is that it's so static. And especially when you have all of these dynamic stagings mixed into this semifinal, you then arrive at Moldova, whose entire staging performance is basically dependent on the LED wall. It's visually beautiful. Like what they have come together and made, I absolutely love it visually. But she just kind of gets trampled. And honestly, I don't think that there is a reality in if she had been in any other running order slot, I think that she would have gotten destroyed by whatever preceded her, because she's not in a semifinal where she can compete. Had they maybe brought the same staging from the Moldovan national final and oomphed it up a bit, maybe there'd be a little bit of a different conversation. But she just kind of gets lost in the stage. She gets lost in the running order. She gets lost in the monotony of visuals and high performance. And I like it. I like it more than I liked it when we got here, but it's not enough for me to be like, yep, that's going through.
Yeah. To me, everything you said, I agree with it. And I mean, the whole being swallowed by the staging is absolutely a stationary thing. To me, also, I think the staging is really pretty, right? But I feel like even the staging is a mismatch with the song. The song is not like a pretty melody, it's a dramatic melody, and the staging is so pretty, butterflies and bubbles and a pretty tree is growing, but that does not really jive with the melody and the genre of the song. So it's also a clash for me as well. In addition to everything that you just mentioned, I have it also as a clear non-qualifier. And I couldn't find Moldova comes bottom 2 in both semifinals. Maybe her national final performance would have done better, I think. One person said, Moldova oftentimes just knows how to save an average song, like even with Stay Until You Find a Way. Even though it didn't qualify, the juries put it pretty high up. So they certainly have something that they do with their staging creative mind to make it better. I just think this time they really ran into a wall. I think there's just not much they can do. If I'm wrong, I'll be more than happy to be wrong.
Yeah,
Next one
maybe this is the official time to start the Moldova send a new artist challenge.
would be nice for once,
It would
for
be
one whole year.
nice. Just 1 year. Give us 1 year where there's a
1
new
year.
face to learn, and then we can go back to whomever.
I know, right? Let's talk about Azerbaijan, song number 12 of the night. People in the chat, why do you think Azerbaijan should qualify or will qualify at ESC United? So this is, we gotta go quickly for this, but we have 3 out of 12 people saying yes, 9 said no. Connor, you are a no on this one, because, it seems like, you cannot say yes to everything, unfortunately. Why do you think Azerbaijan will miss the grand final?
So kind of going back to that comment that I mentioned where the back end of this kind of suffers from a running order that isn't really helping a lot of these songs. We kind of have a couple of songs that slow things down a little too much, in particular Moldova and Azerbaijan here. I really do love this vocal, and I do love this mix of like a well, I shouldn't say a pop song, but a more upbeat song with that kind of ethnic folk singing from Azerbaijan. I think there's a couple of problems here. I think that the staging is really basic. Also, I'm struggling a little bit perhaps to connect how a woman and her arms moving about the LED and magically appearing on the floor relates to the performance of this song. And there's really not a lot to grab onto. And so I think what's going to end up happening is people are going to be like, well, that was nice. Anyway, here's Australia. Like, and it just, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Azerbaijan performed, but I'm not going to remember it to vote for it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it goes straight to the point, because I was one of the 3 saying yes to Azerbaijan. That was also after the first dress rehearsal. After the second dress rehearsals, I regret that decision. I'm no longer, but believe that. Because when I said like Serbia's out, is what I said. And I tried to figure out which one of the second half would go in. I thought it would be either Azerbaijan or Australia in my book. So initially I went with Azerbaijan, but once I saw the second sem, I was like, Australia is more standing out. It really just overshadows now Azerbaijan in terms of energy and likability. So I'm now kind of regretting not picking Australia, but I locked in, so that's why I had. So I'm no longer as confident as I was before about Azerbaijan's chances. And it seems a lot of people really like the song, actually. It's actually well liked by several people. People are just really concerned about the staging, as you said, and the feel of the song. And I think that basically kind of where we fall as well. Real quickly, Australia, that was a sad one, because both Cyprus and Australia got 6 out of 12 votes, and Australia got the 10th final qualifier. So we are saying Australia comes 11th, but it was so close. We basically tied, so it could go either way. I just explained why I probably would have switched to Australia potentially now, but it's too late. Connor, you said no as well. Do you think though that could happen?
I definitely do think it could happen. One, I think it's really dependent upon how this performance goes tonight, or this afternoon for us here in America. Their performance has been getting a little bit better as the more rehearsals happened this morning. On the dress rehearsal for the family show, I'm blanking. I want to say Zachariah, I think the lead vocalist, was a little strainy here and there, but it was early and there may not have been a proper warm up. So I'll give them a little bit of benefit here. But I do think that Australia is in danger of being this borderline qualifier that probably 11th or 12th out of 15. I think that there's enough to pull people in to want to vote for it, but I don't think there's a lot of things to hook it and be like, oh, I want, out of the 20 votes that I can give, I'm going to give 12 of them to Australia and break the rest down. I think it's like, oh, I kind of do really like Australia, so I'll give it 1. But 1 vote is not going to be enough to get them into the grand final, unfortunately. So I think that's what's going to happen. People are going to like Electric Fields. They're going to be like, I really like this band, but I don't think that it's enough to really pull them, especially since, the staging is a little static and lacks the energy that the song wants it to have. I think is its biggest vice here.
Okay. So everyone, by the way, the show starts in 30 minutes. So we have a few more minutes to chat here real quick. We got next up Portugal, song number 14 of the night. And once again, 12 people believe that this will go through out of 12. And I forgot to put on comments about Azerbaijan, not Azerbaijan, excuse me, Australia. And I forgot to ask, let me just put before we do that. Australia comes with a nice and inspiring melody. They have a legit vibe and they can make the difference. Only problem is that Australia does bad with televoting and fine with the juries. That's also a thing that we need to take into account. Oop. Amber alert.
Amber alert. I think that's actually a really good point, though, because Australia also doesn't have the benefit of the Nordic bloc voting in this semifinal. Yes, they do bring with them Finland, however, and Sweden as well. But when they make it to the grand final, you see a lot of points fly in from Sweden and Norway and Estonia and a lot of those upper countries over there. So that's really going to possibly hurt them in a televote only. They are no Voyager like last year, where I was like, oh yeah, they're going to pick up points all over the place. This year, I'm like, I think it's going to be very sporadic voting for Australia.
That's the Iceland delegation alarm. They've heard your comments and are after you, Matt. Darn it. I tried to hide. Did not work. We'll quick back to Portugal. Real quick, Connor. 12 out of 12 here. That's a safe qualifier for you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, she has really benefited, I think, in my personal opinion, from the running order. But I do think that this is a song that could have gone anywhere and I think could have done well. It is really, really interesting. It's very atmospheric. It really pulls you into the performance, even though she's singing in Portuguese and you may or may not have any idea what's going on. I don't care that I don't know what she's singing about because I literally, and I think I posted this, I think on the live blog last night. Like I'm like furiously typing on all the performances. Oh, this is happening, and here's whatever here. Or we noticed this, whatever. And in Portugal, I literally forgot to type. I was sitting there, and we had moved on to the next postcard, and I was like, "Oh crap! I need to write something about Portugal right now." And that's what I think is going to happen across. I don't think that it's going to be in the top 4, as I mentioned. It's kind of reserved for other countries. But I do think that I think people are underestimating and they could come 5, 6, maybe 7 in this running of qualifiers because there's a lot to pull, a lot to see and remember in this.
Yeah. And any thoughts in the chat at ES United why Portugal will or should qualify? I thought the first time I heard it, I was like, well, that's obviously a qualifier. And when it was still like considered a non-qualifier, it is true the running order helps a little bit. You can make a case. Would Portugal struggle more if they were second and Serbia were 14th, that kind of thing. So sure, we can talk about that until the cows come home. No pun intended to Croatia. But it is certainly what it is, the reality. And I think it's just a slick staging. They knew exactly. And I said yesterday, it's like such a simple staging, yet such a complicated staging at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's like a little bit of both, but it feels like just right because it's like a moment. And that is a very powerful thing, especially going this late. And it's just really good vocals. And I said before, Portugal will go high with the jury. So at this point, I think Portugal will be on the left side of the scoreboard, even if it's going to underperform with the televoters in the grand final, which I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying, if it could pull a Saudade kind of situation potentially.
100%. Yeah. And that's actually a really good point because that's exactly kind of, I think, how I feel about this is that like going into it, it's not the one that you're like talking about and it's not the one that's going to be the standout performance. But I think amongst the votes that you're assigning, you are going to remember to want to vote for Portugal, which is its number one vice. If it can make it out of the semifinal, I agree with you. I think that the juries are really going to show up and help it to push it way higher than what it is in the semifinal with a televote only. So if people show up for it and vote for it, this will be promising for it in Saturday, assuming that all those people show up and vote for it again in the mix of 26 songs in the comparison of 15. But
yes, absolutely. And then Luxembourg, Tali, Fighter. Let me know, people in the chat, why Luxembourg will or should qualify. And upcoming drama alert. We have 11 out of 12 people saying that Luxembourg will qualify. Connor, can you tell me who said no on this one?
I think it was Melanie. I heard it was
Melanie. How dare she? Say it. Say the name, Connor.
Okay, it was me. So it's not shocking here. Again, we voted after the first dress rehearsal, and I had mentioned on the stream that I felt like it was really lacking energy. I wasn't really understanding or connecting to the performance. So had we been able to vote after last night's dress rehearsal, I probably would have switched it. However, this one, Cyprus, and Slovenia were the three last ones that I was like going back and forth on, and I ended up opting for Slovenia and Cyprus, putting, I believe, if I remember correctly, Luxembourg 11th. If I got to do this again, I would probably definitely put them in. But I don't know where they're going to go is the problem. Like I can't predict, but I'm obviously with what I guess is left over is probably going to be somewhere in the 6 to 10 range. Yeah. It's not a personal vibe for me. I do appreciate it and I do enjoy what it is. But it's not one that stands out to me in this semifinal personally.
Yeah. I will also say that the song to me is just the running order helps it a lot, and the second half, being in the second half of it, I think it has this like more of a catchy fun moment that that will really help people. And I think it could potentially be the Austria of 23 or Czechia of 22, where it qualifies being in last position and completely kind of gets forgotten by the televoters in the grand final, because I don't think it has that sort of staying power to really grab. So I could see the producers, assuming they're going to get producers running order choice, being fairly early and saying, okay, Luxembourg, welcome back. You made the grand final. Now you can flop. So I think it will be the sacrificial lamb, I think, in the grand final. But I think in terms of qualification, I do think that it's just the running order, and it looks and sounds pretty good now, and it's shining in the moment. It's a good closer as well. So I think for that reason, it will take one of the spots, especially since the first half is stronger. The few songs that'll come through from the second half, Luxembourg will benefit being one of the stronger ones in the second half. And that's why I think that.
And I think that that's a really valid point. We've seen across the couple last 2 years, specifically with We Are Dami and with Teya and Selena as well, that one of the songs that closes a semifinal ends up opening. Now I know that spot is reserved for Marcus and Martinez right now, since they've already
drawn. It'll be early, like 5th or something like that. Even Malta 21.
I think that they would be a victim of second, that they just, well, we couldn't put you first, but we'll slide you in right in there, second or third possibly. But I definitely do agree with that point that if they make it in, awesome. And I think that is a great victory for them after being gone. But I do think that they're going to get drowned out in a sea of 26 entries. And we may not see them if they place high in the semifinal, I don't think that they'll do as great in the grand final. I think that it might be more jury, less televote.
Yeah, Portugal will vote massively for Luxembourg. We don't forget the alliance between these countries, which I didn't even know for the longest time. Apparently, Portuguese is like the largest number of immigrants people in Luxembourg. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but honestly, I don't study the microstates.
So in Luxembourg, apparently. So that's something, we always learn something new, right? I learned that a little while ago. But I didn't know until recently either. So by the way, everyone, just remember that after today's show, we'll be back here on ESC United to talk about the qualifiers. So you don't want to miss that. You can hug us, you can celebrate with us, whatever you need to do. We'll sure we deliver that. Just real quick, do you want to did you like the opening and interval acts? Opening act being Eleni Ferreira and Eric Sade and Chanel, and then the interval acts being Johnny Logan singing Euphoria and Benjamin Ingrosso singing his latest and greatest hits.
Yeah, so I still haven't been able to watch the opener, opening performances, because every single time between that, I have not seen a full run of Cyprus and not seen a full run of Serbia. It is not until, for some strange reason, Ireland and Lithuania that the stream Yeah, that the stream starts being like, oh, you want to watch the whole thing? Here you go. So I've watched pieces of it. I miss most of Eric Sade's, and every single time I miss a chunk of Chanel. Eleni looks and is really fun. I really do enjoy, and I understand why they opened with her, and I understand why they closed with Chanel. I feel terrible for Eric because he just gets like thrust in the middle of there between the two of them. But I do still stand by the point that I feel like Benjamin Ingrosso's interval act would have been a better opening for the semifinal. One, because people are going to kind of vibe with that performance. It is a little bit longer, and so that kind of helps with the length. But then you also put them at the back end because really the interval acts sometimes are just kind of fan service to keep you around through to the results.
Yeah.
You get Johnny Logan, you get his performance of Euphoria, which is still beautiful, still love it. And then you get a callback to classic artists of Eleni Fouera, Eric Sade, and Chanel. They also probably could have had slightly longer performances and done the full version versus maybe trimming one song out of Benjamin's interval. All in all, I mean, I think they're all great. It's just for me, the energy really doesn't hit until the performances, which is so weird because I usually feel that energy hit the first interval, like, or the opening,
First
number,
opening
the
act,
opening
yeah.
performance. And I just don't get that from the semi this year, which is weird.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And usually these interval acts are mostly just, for people to vote, grab, refill their drinks and snacks so they can wait for the results a little bit. It takes a little bit. So it's understandable. It's not the most important thing, but this theme to me is like all about nostalgia, because what they do also, they play all these clips from, the previous artists and all of that stuff, which is really appreciative on my end here, because it's just fun to watch. Real quick, off to one last look at the betting odds. It is fourth semifinal one now. We all know that Ireland is now currently in fourth place, going up and almost catching up to Lithuania in third now. So Croatia, Ukraine at the top, then Lithuania, Ireland, Finland, Luxembourg, Portugal, Cyprus, Poland, Serbia in, and then Australia 11, Slovenia, Moldova, Azerbaijan, Iceland. Do you think that's a likely outcome, Connor?
I would say so. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the order of these, but this is betting. So this is not people who are like, oh yeah, whatever. This is, I want to put money on this. So there's a difference here. However, I think that you'll notice that this list aligns with the same list of our personal qualifiers. I think resonates with some of the general overall press impressions, and also is the exact same list as our readers poll from last night that I posted earlier this morning. So again, I don't necessarily agree with this order, but in terms of this list of 10 would not shock me. Let me put it that way. It is also very evident that people are kind of hesitant about Cyprus, Poland, Serbia, and possibly Australia and Slovenia as well. That those 5 are like the borders at the moment.
Yeah. Any final questions from folks in the chat at ESC United? We're going to have to keep it very short here because I want everyone to get ready for the show. Does Cyprus spot after Eleni and Chanel heard it do comparisons, or does it help it due to keeping the energy going? I personally doesn't think it matters really, or do you?
I don't think it matters, no. Again, we've had a lot of comments point out that just because it's a dance number doesn't mean it's an Eleni Fouera, Fuego, or Fuego, mix or whatever. I just think that it's just not the best dance pop song that we're gonna get in Eurovision this year, just by live performance alone. So I don't think that it gets hurt by what came before it. I will be honest, a lot of people probably aren't tuning in until Cyprus takes the stage in terms of actually listening to it or literally turning on their television or stream or whatever. So I don't really think it matters. What's going to happen is going to happen regardless of where it was.
The first few minutes, I tend to be always like, these are these moments like, honey, put the clothes in the dryer kind of thing, make sure that the dog has food, that kind of thing. And then the show starts, that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's going to have a major impact either. How is the show overall? Little Spock is asking, has SVT done well with the production and everything? I personally think it's a very slick show. I mean, the rehearsals went like with very few hiccups compared to what we've seen in the past. Sure, there are always a little. The very first dress had like the teleprompter issue, but very minor stuff. The last thing, I didn't see the last one. Would it also smooth the third one, Connor?
Oh yeah, no, there was nothing. Now I missed the first half because it happens even earlier than the other rehearsals do, or the other dress rehearsals.
Yeah, that's how
but I mean, there was nothing that really stood out to me. I will say the only thing that I noticed is that the other host, Malin, still is struggling a little bit to kind of, I think, find her footing and the pacing and just the presenter part of Eurovision.
Is she a presenter in real life? Do we know is she just more like an actress, or
I don't know who she is outside of the fact that she's presenting. But it was really evident this morning in the dress rehearsal. She was stumbling over words. She was just kind of awkwardly staring off into the distance at times, like, just like waiting for the break to happen. And yeah, I think that this semifinal is just going to kind of expose some rough around the edgesness with her. And I'm assuming that probably once we get to the second semifinal, she'll have some help and some pointers, and I know Petra will help her out. That is the only thing that I'm noticing, though. Everything else has been great. Everything else has been running really smooth, the exception of a teleprompter there from the first dress rehearsal. And I do really love the fact that the LED wall opens for the green room. I think that reveal is just beautiful and just so like dramatic.
I know, it's like goosebumps kind of moment. Oh, here it goes. It's really, really a fun moment. I will say, I agree. The show overall, the run is very slick, very professional, very to the point. I wouldn't call it the most memorable show. Like, it's very about focused on the shows. Petra made is also a little bit she's not trying to outshine Malin as much. The jokes are pretty appropriate. You know what I mean? They're not like crazy jokes, a little bit about baby lasagna and like silliness stuff for like 2 minutes. But for the most part, there's not very little attention focused on the hosts. It's really just about everything else. There's nothing that stood out to me that we'll look in the history books of Eurovision saying this was one of the semis to remember in terms of like, the show itself, graphic wise or anything, right? There's nothing like that really stood out to me from that perspective. It seems just slick.
Yeah, it's just a good show. At the end of the day, I agree with you. I don't think that there's anything that's going to be like, oh my gosh, remember when or anything like that. It's not like, for example, the first semifinal last year in Liverpool, where we had that beautiful interval act for like kind of tying in the UK and Ukraine co-hosting and the element of the war and everything. That was still makes me cry and is still the best interval act from that entire week of Eurovision. I go back to that and I'm like, holy cannoli. There is nothing like that in this semifinal. Semi 2 may be different because I know that we're getting, some other people and there's some other flow, other songs. So perhaps that'll be different. Or maybe they're just saving everything they have for the grand final. And they're like, this is where we're going to pull out all the stops. Who knows? But this one, it's a semifinal. It looks good. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
You will enjoy.
Yes, that's exactly how we should summarize it. And then, of course, you can come back afterwards and tell us we're wrong. It was shite or it was amazing. We would love to hear from you. But I want you all to get ready for the show, and so do we. So once again, once the qualifiers are known, Team United will be back here from the, not green room, the press room. And we will talk all the results, and we can be happy and sad together. But we got to talk about it. So enjoy the show, everyone. I'll see you on the other side when we have 10 qualifiers. I cannot believe it, Connor. It's happening.
It's happening. Happy Eurovision, Matt.
I know. Happy Eurovision to you. And see y'all soon, okay?